Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Bastion deck profile for post-Raging Flames against Emerald Storm. Big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his Bastion deck. We actually got some new support in the latest Cardfight Vanguard booster set that definitely does help with the grade 3 playstyle. I really don't understand why they sometimes give us like grade 1 support for Bastion. The strongest way the deck can play is with the full-on grade 3 support that you have for the deck, and the new support definitely does help with the overall pressure playstyle that this deck is meant to do, with the added Bastion grade 3 lineup and also the grade 4 option in the deck as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ride deck, our starter is the Knight of Heavenly Bow base. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Knight of Heavenly Sword Fort. When this unit is wrote upon by Knight of Heavenly Spear Rooks, reveal 2 grade 3 cards from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rear if it is a unit card, put into your drop zone if it isn't. So it's good for that setup. You really have this as your only grade 1 aside from the Sentinels in the deck, but our grade 2 is Knight of Heavenly Spears Rook. When it's wrote upon by a Apex Ruler Bastion, you can reveal 3 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal 3 grade 3s and then draw a card. So it's more draw power with this card as well, with our main grade 3 being our Apex Ruler Bastion, along with the copy that we are running in the ride deck. I'm also running 3 additional copies in the main deck. During your turn, all of your grade 3s get plus 2,000 power, and also on the Vanguard, once per turn at the end of the battle, you drive check revealed a grade 3. You can discard a card from your hand, choose up to 1 rear guard, stand it, and gets plus 10,000 power to end the turn. So the grade 3 gives you the option for the Persona ride, but also giving you a backup option for the 4 attacks in 1 turn, being able to restand a rear guard to attack again. Since the majority of the cards that we run in the deck are grade 3, you have a good chance of revealing it for your drive check. And then for our grade 4 option, we're running 4 copies of Apex Surpassing Sword Bastion Prime. On Vanguard, during your turn, all of your front row units get plus 2,000 power. And on Vanguard, once per turn, at the end of the battle, your unit drive check revealed a grade 3 or greater card. Put a card with Bastion in its card name from your hand or soul into your drop zone to stand all of your grade 3 rear guards. And also, they get plus 10 till end of turn. So this could be the 5 attacks in 1 turn. And also, another reason why we run the multiples of the grade 3 Bastion, so you have another discard option for more consistency with the grade 4. There's a chance you could damage check some of the grade 4 options, but still, with the triple drive, you have a better chance of revealing the grade 3 thanks to your grade 4 Bastion Prime. For some of the other grade 3s, which are the good majority of the deck, 4 copies of Grand Heavenly Sword Alden. When it's placed on rear, Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1, choose a card from your hand, call it to rear. If you call it a grade 3, draw 2 cards, and when this unit attacks, if you have 3 or more grade 3 units, it gets plus 5,000. So an easy power boost with this card, but the draw 2 and just being able to call another grade 3 with it sets up your field, but still gives you hand consistency to either have cards for the discard cost for your Sentinels, or even just potentially drawing into a trigger to assist with that guard in that way. Also running 3 copies of Knight of Broadaxe Refluke. Put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your grade 3 rear guards. It gets plus 10,000 till end of turn. So more of a soul build-up card to rely on, but also giving you plus 10 to a rear guard. You can give your Refluke, and if it's one that restands, you'll have the plus 10 from the Refluke, and then also the power with Alden, and also the power that Bastion can provide also. And also running 3 copies of Heavenly Enclamps Dragon, Embrace Dragon. When this unit is put on guard circle, choose one of your grade 2 or greater units being attacked. It gets plus 10,000 to end of battle. If you chose a grade 4, it gets plus 20,000 power instead of 10,000. So it's just another way for you to guard as a card you can reveal. It could be a grade 3, but it adds more of a defensive lineup to the deck as well, being able to have something to guard with in the form of a grade 3, being able to power up your grade 4 Bastion, or even the grade 3 if needed with this card. For some of the newer cards from set 7, we are running 3 copies of Heavenly Wings of Purity Honataria. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Bastion and its card name, Counterblast 1, choose up to 1 grade 3 card from your hand and call it to rear. If you called a card and you have 5 or more units, you draw a card. And then during your turn, if you have 6 or more units, this unit gets boost. So it's a way for a grade 3 to have the additional boost power, giving you draw power, just having a full field as well for that setup. It's hand consistency while still being able to supply to the actual field as well for that draw that you can get. And then being able to boost with a 13k rear guard adds, because we did have the order as that option beforehand, but now we can at least rely on the play just using our Hanataria because of that. And also 2 copies of the new Unrivaled Heavenly Blade Discorda with this card. When this unit attacks, if you have 6 or more grade 3 or greater units, counterless 1, to end of battle, this unit attacks will be hit regardless of its power, and the sum of the grade of your opponent's guardians is not grade 3 or greater. So this makes your opponent guard, if they get an over trigger, you still can potentially hit with this guard against your opponent, either making them use up their hand consistency, even if they did get an over trigger in power, or enough triggers to block the attack regardless. And they'll just have to throw down enough to block that, with the total sum being grade. They'll either need 3 grade 1s, a grade 2, a grade 1, you name it, they'll have to equal out those numbers so that attack will not hit. And then also 3 copies of Heavenly Arrow of Sure Hit Spiraire. On the front row, when it's stood by your Vanguard's ability, you can Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. And from the back row during your turn, all of your other rear guards in the same column get plus 5,000. So with this card, you have your play, and it works very, very well with our next unit, which is Darkstrain Dragon. This card will be unlimited soon. So if you were to mix around some of the numbers with this card for the added boost power to work with our Spare Rare on the back row for the additional plus, there's a couple cards you can potentially take out if you didn't want to use the guard option with Embrace Dragon. You can put in more copies of Darkstrain by taking this card out. You can remove a Fluke. You have more of a soul build-up with this card. It's just player preference. You could also drop the number of Bastion for more copies of Darkstrain. Once again, since it was a one-off copy, but soon you'll be able to run more of this card in the deck to begin with. We run no grade 2s in the deck, and for the grade 1s, our only grade 1s we're running are the Aegis Mare Dragon. If you wanted to run the Elementaria Sanctitude Blitz Order, you could just take out 1 copy of this card for that one, but still the guard restriction with this card, and I find Aegis Mare to be the most aesthetically pleasing Sentinel to use with the Bastion deck as well. And then for the trigger lineup, we're running the 8 criticals, so 4 copies of Knight of Heavenly Hammer, Gargant, and 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon. It can provide the soul charge and power option, but still just useful to have that option available to you with this, but still you want to keep the criticals in your hands because they're going to be most of the time the only cards aside from your Sentinels that you can guard with against your opponent. And then the next trigger of choice is the front trigger, so 3 copies of Bard of Heavenly Song, Alpac, just for the additional shield power this card can get. And the front triggers just add more and more pressure to your rear guards when they restand. For the heals, we're running 2 copies of Healer of Heavenly Staff and 1 copy of Tier Sorceress and 1 Invigorate Sage for the additional shield power against the units that get the additional critical or restood for a second attack. With our over trigger being a Martinoa, being able to give your grade 3 rear guards, which will be the majority of time with this card unless you drive check it early game. A drive check as well can just be the pressure needed for hand consistency to get back against your opponent, and just the overall scariness of having twin drive with all of your grade 3s. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow the Bastion deck for the deck profile. I believe, are hopefully going to see some more support with Bastion. We saw new Bruce support. Maybe we'll see some new Bastion support, or maybe even a new form of Bastion later on down the line. It'd be pretty awesome if we do. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.